Making one-page dungeons is the best way to make D&D material that's going to be used over and over again instead of just being thrown out for that one campaign that you only had 2 sessions for. Hi, my name is Nick and I like to nerd out over TTRPGs. If you want to nerd out with me, then you should go down there and headbutt that like and subscribe button. And if you want to check out more games and content from me, then you should go down to the link in the description to check out my Patreon. And now, let's talk about one-page dungeons. First, what is a one-page dungeon? A one-page dungeon is a one-page dungeon. A one-page dungeon is a one piece of paper layout of a location, a dungeon, a tower, whatever you want, and it can have as little to as much information on that page as you want. You can make it themed, you can have it not themed, it could just be numbers and rooms and the ways to connect between those rooms, or it could have all of the puzzles, encounters, and combat laid out ready for you to just plug in to your TTRPG system. There are horror one-page dungeons, there are fantasy one-page dungeons, there's tons of different ones in different themes and different styles, ranging from very basic and just a layout all the way up to having every encounter planned out. So if you like those, then you can always go check out other people's for inspiration. You can check out the Reddit r/one-page dungeons. So why are one-page dungeons so important to me? They are just the most plug-and-play material to have in your backpack, ready to be pulled out at any game session. It can even be a great introductory adventure for some new players, or it could be used to have a ton of them and you can just lay them out over a hex crawl and just have dungeons everywhere, ready for your players to show up at, and you don't have to do any prep besides loading it up with the correct characters with the right stat blocks. So it's really simple and it's just a great way of having material ready at hand whenever your players are just not going where you want them to, or they decide to go into some random dungeon that you didn't even think was going to happen today, and you have material ready to just hurry and use so you don't have any prep to do besides stuff you've done 6 months ago for another campaign, and you decided to make a one-page dungeon instead of just making a campaign-specific dungeon. They're also a great resource for if you forget to prep for your campaign, for your session tonight, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta get this stuff ready. So you can just pull out one of your old one-page dungeons from your folder, and you can just have them ready for that evening to have at least some stuff ready for your players to do that day. Why should you make your own one-page dungeons? There's a lot of reasons, but the biggest reason is that you can have your own set of things that your players have never seen before online. They can't go finding things easily, and you can have your own style of one-page dungeons that's perfect for you, whether it's just having it be an outline, or if you want to add your own specific puzzles that you've created that are really interesting, or modular puzzles or encounters that can be used to plug and play for each campaign that you make or story. It can be very personal to you. One-page dungeons are just a great resource. Everything about your one-page dungeons can be changed on the fly. You can change a room to another area of it, or you can have your encounters that you've already pre-made and just switch them on their heads, make the NPC a different type of person, make them evil, make them good, add extra bonus items, make the theme and the genre different from game to game. Your players would never know the difference between the one-page dungeon that you used for their campaign 7 months ago and the new campaign that you just started, as long as you change 1 or 2 things about it and you really just nail in the theme and the vibes of the location. Yeah, it was a creepy crypt filled with skeletons last time, but now it's a mossy dungeon filled with bats and ghosts and a giant ogre at the end. Making one-page dungeons isn't hard. It only takes a few seconds to really set up a very basic, minimal one-page dungeon in a matter of seconds. So what are some resources for creating your own one-page dungeons with a quick and simple method? I would really recommend J.P. Couvert's Flick Silverpin's Guide to Exploring Dungeons and Flick Silverpin's Guide to Drawing Dungeons. These are some great resources for easily and quickly rolling up just some fast dungeons, and you can make 10 dungeons in a matter of seconds. As long as you choose to random roll, it can be as quick as you want it to be, but you can pick and choose from the different options. It's a great way of supporting some great D&D writers and TTRPG zine creators, and this product is just going to be great for you to make your own dungeons. And don't get me wrong, making your own one-page dungeons is still time consuming. There is still stuff that you have to prep, but it's just prep that you won't have to do later on in your life. Every time that you have a D&D session, you don't have to prep every single thing anew. Every session doesn't have to be brand new. Everything can be modified and changed and just altered, so you don't have to have such a workload on you every time your players go to a new location that you weren't expecting them to. Just have fun and create art that you enjoy so your players can have fun. And I do still recommend that you steal other people's one-page dungeons to use for your campaigns, and you use them and you can alter them and make them your own, and even just have those printed out ready to go for your next campaign sessions. Just have a stockpile of this. I would recommend just having a big folder of just a ton of one-page dungeons. It's so easy to just have this resource lying around in case you need it. That's why it's the best thing to have in your backpack for your games. This is the end of the video, and I really appreciate you making it here. And if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you went down and gave me a like and subscribe. And if you do want to check out my zines and games and content, go check out my Patreon page in the link in the description below. And I'll also leave some links for the Reddit and some one-page dungeons that I would recommend, and JP Kuvert's guides to creating dungeons down in the link in the description below. So if you want to check those out, I'd really recommend it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.